Day 4 of the second test in Barbados, and this is Ask George. PL asks, should Joe Root ask Carlos Brathwaite when he is allowed to call it a draw tomorrow?
It's a great question. Look, I don't know what Carlos was thinking. I guess we've all said silly things. I'm sure he regrets it.
Joanne Vickers asks, how awesome is Jack Leach?
Hello, Joanne. I think he's been terrific. I'm full of admiration for him, to be honest. It's a funny thing because I think he's so tough in a funny way. I think he's had so many setbacks in his career and his life, I guess. You know, the illness, the having to remodel his bowling action, not being given a contract by Somerset when he first had that opportunity. All those things. He's been mauled a couple of times at test level, and he just keeps coming back a little bit better. I think you have to be realistic about what he is, which is, you know, he's a decent jobbing left-arm spinner. He's not going to be a world beater, I don't think, but I think he's done a terrific job for England on this tour. I think he's going at 1.7 and over. There's not a lot for him, terribly slow wicket, and he's bowled all those overs, and you know, very few poor balls in there, and by doing so, he's allowed the seamers to escape relatively unscathed. So I thought he's done a terrific job, and I hope it's recognised what a good job in difficult circumstances. That is slow. It's a poor wicket, and yeah, I hope that he does get the recognition for it, and people don't just say he's toothless, because honestly, one of the things I noticed during the day is that he went on a list of sort of the most overs ever bowled in a test innings. He's a long way down, and he might be 50th or something. But the fella right above him is Shane Warne. You know, if Shane Warne can have days or games like this, so could Jack Leach. And I thought he did his role really, really well. So yeah, I agree with Joanne.
Joel Edwards asks, good to see Woakes get a wicket, but what happened to his pace?
He has looked a lost soul, hasn't he? He looked completely bereft of confidence. It's been horrid to watch, to be honest. I think he was the 6th or 7th bowler Joe Root turned to today, and he didn't even get the third new ball. So it was painful. Actually, I think you wrote a very good piece on him yesterday, didn't you? It was a very good piece. I was going to write something today, and you had basically nailed it. So as someone who's watched a lot of his career and likes him, it's been painful to watch, but you have to acknowledge that, you know, he's been given the opportunity to be attack leader, and he hasn't been able to do it. Now, he has been unfortunate with the surfaces, but I think it's like being an opening batter. If you keep on getting balls that you think are unplayable, it's probably not your role. So I fear that the opportunity has come just a little bit late in his career when he's lost half a yard, and he's very jaded from his exertions of the last 6 months. I think he's been in a bubble just about as much as anyone. And, you know, disappointment and age and all the rest of it can wear. And I think he looks a bit worn out to me. Maybe a week off or two will do him a world of good. But yeah, you know, probably the experiment of using him in overseas conditions has been tried and it's probably over. And I'm sorry to say that.
Mark Vesey asks, obviously the pitch isn't great, but when was the last time England had a bowling attack as toothless as this? The context being this is probably third choice seam attack at the very least.
Well, I mean, in Antigua. But, you know, if you look back through history, there's been a lot of times, and there's been a lot of times, I vaguely, you know, did Trevor Bailey open the bowling for England on occasions, you know? There have been all sorts of attacks that would have struggled on that wicket, you know. They all would have done. If you'd had Marshall and Garner on there, I don't know, I think they'd have struggled. So I would cut them a wee bit of slack. He makes a point, of course. You know, does this attack look like it's potentially a world-beating one? No, it doesn't. And England's best hope is that, you know, Jofra and Mark Wood and Ollie Robertson, I guess, and Ben Stokes are someday able to play together. You know, if you presume that Anderson and Broad are very near the end one way or another. And they have a bit more bite in it. But you know, I will cut them some slack again, just because that is a poor service, yeah.
How do you reflect on the discourse around, I guess, this test, maybe this series, that there's so many aspects of it that have been spoken about? You know, England's attack isn't perhaps that good. The West Indies are perhaps a little bit unambitious with their batting. The pitch is so poor. How do you reflect on that sort of that chat and that discourse around it? Is it become a little bit too sensational, perhaps?
Interesting. Well, one thing we need to remember is that it is 98 in the Test Play Championship, and there are moments when that is apparent. You know, there was a bit when Ben Stokes was batting, the whole contest briefly was lifted to another level. But basically, everyone's been constrained by this surface, and this surface is poor. You know, it's really, really poor. And I think we just got to be a bit careful not to judge too harshly. I don't think West Indies played badly at all. I thought Craig Brathwaite was a magnificent innings in its way. It just wasn't an entertaining innings particularly, because the main asset was, you know, his control, his dedication. But there was, you know, he did hit the job that his team needed, and he did it brilliantly. It just wasn't going to make great footage for a highlights reel. You know, I was a bit bored myself today. So, I'm a proper cricket geek, I think. So I wouldn't be critical of the West Indies approach or the England bowlers, really. Having said that, you know, you have to acknowledge again that they're not necessarily all world beaters. Again, I thought Saki showed good things. I thought that was a promising beginning. And I know that it was a no ball, but he did York a set batsman on a flat track. I think there were things there to take encouragement from. I think of the seamless. He's got the highest ceiling at this stage of his career. I actually think Ben Stokes has backed up his performances and shown what a valuable seamer he is. You know, it's interesting, he got the third new ball, and he well, poorly with it, to be honest. But it was interesting he got it, and I was kind of pleased to see him get that opportunity, because I think he could have a role to play with it. I think he's a very skillful bowler. As it happened, it didn't work out, but maybe, you know, he's just really tired, because he is human. It doesn't always come across, but he probably is.
Danny asks, 96-run first innings lead, England lead by 136 overnight, advantage England?
Well, I guess so. Look, you never know. I guess we've seen, although I'm struggling to think of any, games like this which have moved very quickly on the final day. Struggling to think of any like this, but it's always possible that, you know, scoreboard pressure or the pitch deteriorates or something. But there hasn't been a lot of sign of that. And also, it's not a very easy declaration. What are England ahead? 136. So, I mean, can they even declare at lunch? I don't think they can. So maybe I'm just a very negative person, but I don't think you would want to go through everything they've been through and risk losing. I don't. You know? Particularly not in a, say, 2-session chase, which someone like Campbell or Blackwood could come off, potentially. I don't know. I wouldn't want to risk losing. Not after all that work. Why give West Indies a sniff?
And finally, AMC 89 asks, should an away draw get more World Test Championship points, the onus being on the home team to prepare a result pitch?
Yeah. I don't know why I haven't thought of that. Seems like a really good idea. I don't know why we're going through this spate of pretty dodgy surfaces, but you know, there's the pitches like this and Hamilton not so long ago, and Karachi obviously recently. I think they're going to make it very, very difficult to find a new audience for cricket. I really do. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe other people let me know. Maybe other people are loving it, but I thought it's kind of stalled tonight. So that seems as good an idea as any. But you know, maybe you could just have an ICC who you know, have teeth. Just you know, get involved in the important stuff. You know, I know this isn't necessarily ICC; it's the MCC, but the laws were changed recently, so that you know, or will change. But they announced it so that the new batter will always face after a batter has been out caught. Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard anyone talking about that. I don't think I've ever left a cricket ground and someone's sort of called me to one side and say, isn't it annoying how new batters don't necessarily have to face them? Never. I talk about cricket all day, and I don't think anyone's ever said that to me. But you can guarantee that I'm about to go to a Barmy Army event. Guarantee people are going to talk about the pitch. So it'd be nice if the ICC got stuck into that stuff, stuck into the important stuff. And you know, we've got to do something about it because I know I've been boring on this, but it'll kill the game. There's nothing worse than a pitch that creates dull cricket because, you know, I've got no criticism of any of the players involved in this game. You know, if you gave Gary Kasparov a broken chess set with no knights, he'd struggle. Well, it's the same thing. That's a rubbish analogy. I'm tired. But a bit grumpy.